Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the West Coast vs Freo game, in which Freo just absolutely dominated, even without their captain in, I believe Bowers is captain for them. I'm not 100% sure, but she is their star player. She is undoubtedly would have absolutely dominated this game tackle-wise. I mean, we saw, what is that, 186 tackles, which I believe someone Swamps or some other, I think it was some, it might have been some female reporter said that was the most tackles game in AFLW history, which is fair play to these girls. The conditions were absolutely horrific for half the game. It was the camera almost couldn't handle the amount of rain that was coming down in the game. So yeah, people are probably, the non-Bauer owners going into the game were probably really lucky that she did miss, because she probably would have had 25 tackles on her own, and then she would have had 20 odd disposals. That was a Bowers 170 game waiting to happen. I mean, we saw with Hooker, Swanson, I'm just looking at the stats here, Hooker, Swanson, Stannett, O'Sullivan, Kaufman, East, even if you go down to 8 tackles, Strom is included in 8 tackles, McCarthy's included in 8 tackles, and so many other girls at 7, 6, 5 tackles. So yeah, the amount of tackles in that game was ridiculous, and they still had more marks than the Swans versus GWS game, which was played in complete dry conditions. So yeah, just a huge game, huge output, and the non-Bowers owners from the start of the round are really, I guess should just think they're lucky stars that she didn't play, because this was going to be a Bowers 140, 150 at least, potentially even the 170 that we saw, I think she put up last year, was potentially on the cards here. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, Strom 112 was huge. Her in the ruck just dominated. I mean, the other ruckman then, Lakay, I think it's how you pronounce it. They both dominated, to be honest, 25-26 in the ruck contest, but it was Strom around outside of the ruck contest that really dominated. 112 in the end for her, 15 touches, 6 marks, 8 tackles. So you could look at Strom. I mean, Strom is already in the million club, so that is going to be tough, and Strom is 22, so she hasn't been around for long. Could be one that you jump onto. Morford as well. So I think those two are the two that I'm really looking at, trying to decide, but I think I will go Moffat over Strom as, who does Strom have in round 2? Let me double check, as if she does have a really easy ruck matchup, that could be interesting. She has Hawks and Luke, and Luke was a really actually tough matchup to go against for the actual ruck contest, but around the ground I think Strom could defeat her, so that's interesting. I think it's one that you could go for, but I think a lot of people are going to go for Moffat, or go and stick with that rookie ruckman, or go down to the rookie ruckmans, because there's possibility there. I just like the look of Moffat, because both, I'm a biased Swans fan, and two, that she had that blood rule, meaning that she was missed what is almost a sixth of the game because of that blood rule, and she would have had 10% more time on ground, and she would have had another 10-15 points, and she played Freya Davies, which is a tough matchup in my opinion, to a certain extent, and she plays Hoare, which I think will be an even better matchup for her, as I think she'll beat Hoare around the ground a little bit better than Freya Davies. But anyway, do not want that. Stannett was huge. Defender, need to look at that and see what her... Oh, I can actually do this. Look at Stannett in this way and try and figure out her positioning. We'll look at Stannett on also here and try and figure out what was her positioning. It actually seems like she was playing a wing role, to be honest with you. If you look here, it doesn't look like she was playing a defender role. So I want to know with, I might put a tweet out about that after this video about Stannett, and see what her role was, as it doesn't seem like she was actually playing in the back line. And it says here forward pocket, so an interesting one there. If she is going to get the, if we look here, that just takes us back to the game here, and yeah, so it's an interesting one, one to look into. I think I'm going to give it one more round, as I think you have the ability to do that, and I think it's one that's Getting Priest in, I think, next week is going to be crucial. Getting Priest in for Cordner or for Heads, whichever one doesn't score well, and then potentially getting Thomas out for another of the defenders will be crucial, as I do think you will see Sheehan and or someone in this 700k range that's gone down by 60, 70k respond. So I think there is a high likelihood that there is going to be 2 or 3 700 to 800k defenders. And if you can move on, potentially Thomas, if she doesn't respond, if she isn't one that responds, potentially her and Heads for or her and Cordner for for another 700k or 800k and another one alongside that. So for 2 800kers, then you can almost have a complete team and only have one. I'll only have potentially one rookie on the ground after next round, and also have the rookies in reserve. And Nansquian, which should be a really good price riser, probably use her next week, or Hall, one of the two, whoever's probably higher or doesn't provide as much, and try and use them to get up to, or McDonald, because McDonald seemed to use a lot of time on the bench. If she does well enough to get her out and get another defender in, as it seems like that is the best way forward, to be honest. Now, Ty, I think I haven't even moved on past a lot of these girls. So Ty, O'Sullivan, Kaufman, East, Scallon, Pure, O'Driscoll, Miller, Hyde. None of these girls I didn't really take too much interest into or look at the game, to be honest. It was only Strom, Stannett, and that was really it for for Freo. For West Coast, it was a lot more noticeable. Swanson, Roberts as well. They just dominated. Roberts came off with a little bit, I think, something in the last quarter that made a bench for the pretty much the rest of the game. You also saw Thomas just never got into the game, and that's why her score was so low. Included, if you look here at Thomas, 60% time on ground, which is just a lot lower than what we're used to with Thomas here. If you look at Thomas and you look at time on ground, we're looking usually around that 90%. So that was really weird to see her so low. And that's probably why you saw her a little bit lower on the scoring. So I expect her to, I don't know what that PO percentage is, but I expect Thomas to improve quite dramatically as we go there. And yeah, I expect her to be better. Swanson, we screwed over Didac with the Swanson coming into a lot of people's sides with the Bowers news, as Swanson 104 did her job, was the captain for me because I didn't know about the loophole, which would have got me a further 8 points, I believe, to Marinoff. But yeah, Swanson did her job basically, and I think she is going to be a high 90s. I think will be a respectable 97, 98 type of average for the year will be respectable for Swanson. I still think there's a lot of room for her to improve, and that just comes down to just getting a high number of tackles, or sustaining the high number of tackles and getting that disposals up towards that 25. As if we look here, it was a 15 kick 7, so that's a good handball to kick to handball ratio there for her. And just getting that up another 3 or 4, we'll really see that damaging like 110, 115. That is really, really crucial. Hooker, 94 in the end for Hooker. Fairly decent game, 10 tackles, really buffed it up. If we look here and go to West Coast Eagles, I think you will see Roberts only 20%. I thought she was going to be higher. Swanson 100%. Lewis, Lucky, Rowell, McCarthy, Roberts, and Wakefer. So Hooker wasn't even... What is Hooker classified as? Hooker is classified as a forward. So an interesting one to look into there. Hooker, if we look into here with Hooker, and we look at her last couple games here, so she did drop a couple of low scores. So I think Hooker is one that we need to just think about and wait a little bit, because if you look at her career averages, she averaged, fantasy points, 54, 64, 64, 88 in the season 4, but I don't know if that 88 was when she was playing midfield, and doesn't look like she was necessarily playing midfield this week. She was playing more of a wing role, so will be interesting with that regard there. Then you got Roberts here. That was just a really good Roberts game. Came off, I think, injured a little bit, so one to worry about there. McCarthy, 75. Lackey, 60. Davidson, Britton, Lewis, Granova, Smith, Gibson, Rowley, and then talking about Thomas, she just got stuck on the bench, to be honest. Stuck on the bench for 17 minutes in the last, had a blood rule in the third for 10 minutes as well, so that's 27 minutes out of the what I would expect probably the game probably lasted 85 minutes, so that right there is about a third of the game, and that's why you get that 60%, and that's why she just didn't get on the field. McDonald, Wakefer as well. Didn't we say Wakefer was high in the CBAs? Wakefer was on 20%, so yeah, no, that's not high enough to make too much of a difference anyway. And she was playing sort of this ruck forward, I'm guessing, role. If I look at Wakefer, Wakefer was playing a defender role actually. But wait a second, there's two of them. Wakefer was playing as a ruckman, but you had Lakeza, so they had two designated ruckmen on AFLW Fantasy, sorry, and yeah, just didn't get involved with Wakefer, so not really interested at that. Western, Hartnell, Bartlett, and Sidenere, probably butchered that name, but anyway, sorry about that. But that is pretty much the video there. If I go back to the main screen, that is the video. Dominating performance from Strom and Swanson, and as well as Stannard and Hooker and Roberts. And yeah, that's pretty much that's all the reviews, and then you'll see my team review. I guess you've already pretty much seen it across the last 9 videos. And then you'll see my team preview, which you've already seen, as well as tipping for both men's and females. Men's will do the week 1 of the finals, as well as females will do the week 2 and review the trades that I did whilst the tips that I did whilst I was too sick to probably upload. And then also you will see my trade targets, which there's going to be a lot of girls in the trade targets, obviously, as you need to, I guess, jump on the low break even girls. But that is a video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. Goodbye.